Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the four distinct blocks on the periodic table. And those four blocks have letters that are the same as our four shapes of orbitals, S, P, D, and F. And so here we go, ready for this magic? Whoa! So these are the four main blocks on the periodic table: S block, P block, D block, and F block. And if you remember, we talked about this during electron configuration. The S block is the first two groups on the periodic table. And just like when we were doing electron configuration, two electrons maximum on an S sublevel. The P block are the six groups on the right hand side of the periodic table, six electrons maximum in a P sublevel. D block is the 10 groups in between those two, 10 on a D sublevel. And then the F block are the 14 elements across at the bottom, 14 in an F sublevel, 14 electrons maximum. And so we end up having these two main types of elements, representative and transition. The representative elements are oftentimes referred to as the A elements, and they are the ones on the S block and the P block. Now, you don't have to write all this, but this is the more recent and modern way that we number our groups, and that is simply 1 through 18. But you may come across periodic tables that have the other numbering system, which includes the letters, which is why we call them the A elements. You know, back in the day when Roman numerals were still pretty prevalent, so we have group 1A, 2A, 3A, etc. Or you might have seen it written as actual numbers. And then the other main group are the transition elements, the B elements. And you might see, again, on an older periodic table, different columns labeled with a B. And those are the D block and the F block elements. The D block are called the transition metals. They're all metals, and we see a lot of the important metals there: copper, silver, gold, iron, nickel, zinc, etc. And then down at the bottom of the periodic table are the F block, the inner transition metals. And, uranium and plutonium, very important for nuclear chemistry. Those are down there, as well as what we call a lot of the rare earth metals, which have become more and more popular in technology. With this, especially nanotechnology, really, really small pieces of technology, you can use some of those rare earth metals because you don't need a lot of them. So what we see here is actually what the periodic table looks like when we put the F block where it should be. The normal periodic table on the wall or whatnot on the paper, we have to take the F block down. Otherwise, it would just be way too long. But what's interesting to see about this is you can actually see the order of filling as it appears right before your very eyes. So, like when we do the order of filling, first up is the 1s sublevel, and the 1 reflects which period you're in. So 1s is right there, and it also includes helium over there. Next up is the 2s sublevel, followed by 2p, and then 3s, 3p, 4s, and then here's where we start seeing some overlap. So we do hit the D block next, but that is actually 3D, and then we go back to 4p. And again, I'm just following this order of filling down here. So next up is 5s, 5s, and then back to 4D, 5p, 6s, and then here we hit the first F. And again, because of the overlapping and the different amounts of energies with the orbitals, this is actually 4F, and then 5D, 6P, 7S, 5F, 6D, and 7P. So that's just what the periodic table would actually look like if it was fully spread out. The main gist of this, again, is that the elements are in their groups because of this electron configuration. And when you're in a group, you share characteristics, including valence electrons. So, like right here, the alkaline earth metals in this second group, every one of them has the end of their electron configuration as s2 because no matter what element it is in that column, it will always end something s2. So, like here, this will end 2s2, beryllium. And then underneath that is magnesium. So it'll end in 3s2, and then 4s2, 5s2, 6s2, 7s2. And we'll spend more time getting more comfortable and familiar with that topic in the future.